Welcome back to RGR. I'm Ryan, and this is me going rogue on the Kansas City Chiefs and the National Football League. Thanks for joining me. If you're new here, hit the sub, the notification, leave your comment below, and leave a thumbs up if you like this video. You're not going to see me much this week. A little pressed for time, so just doing an intro here, and we're going to get right into the film. Want to note a couple of things. Pat Mahomes had a great second quarter, and quite honestly, he proved he can beat you in a quarter. And there's a lot of great throws, and there's two in particular great catches that I'm not going to do on film here because everybody's done a ton on them. The last to Demarcus Robinson, and the great catch by Travis Kelce. Can't say enough about those catches. Great ball placement from Mahomes, but those were actually really, really great plays by those receivers. We're going to look at some of the early stuff, the other touchdowns to two players in particular. One that was really on a play that was a gimme and that Mahomes had to take advantage of, and one that was a really nice play by a very fast wide receiver.
Now, the Raiders played Pat Mahomes in the offense tough, but started the second quarter, they really started to get the better of them, and Pat recognizing what was going on and taking a stab on what was really a very easy read. What you're going to see here is that Demarcus Robinson lined up here on the interior of the three, and pretty simple route, just basically a go. What's going to happen, though, is that Lamarcus Joyner is going to be a little bit confused. He's going to shuttle down into this shallow zone rather than carrying with, or getting depth at least, with the receiver. The other thing that's going to happen is that Vontaze Burfict is going to come out here to get in what is a zone that he still had a chance to affect the route of Robinson, but didn't bother to even try to touch him. And this is something we saw Dante Hightower do back with the Patriots last season that was so good about disrupting the route early, getting a jam on somebody, and then rushing. And then on top of it, you have Worley, who's really a corner, playing safety here, and just is a little bit out of whack because he doesn't have the experience, and is concentrating on the other side of the field and just leaves Demarcus Robinson wide open. As we see here, just going to be a really easy start, not much competition here, even to get going for Robinson. And poof, he's gone. Now, this is the easiest read Mahomes could do. The ball's out. It's looking good. You see that Worley's starting to turn, but is in no way in position to try to make up for what has already occurred. Pat Mahomes shows some trust in Mecole Hardman on this touchdown pass, and that's just the start of it. It takes a couple of factors to play in, but trust is definitely one of them. And you can see that there's a little bit of confusion here as we're pre-snap, looking at what's going on. Burfict and Lamarcus Joyner are still in conference here, trying to figure out exactly what they're doing, where they're going, and that certainly helps, but that's not really the factor that allows Hardman to make this play. It is, I'm sure, Mahomes recognizing that and understanding where this particular skinny post is going to go, and that's exactly what Hardman's going to run, is a skinny post. He's going to bend it a little bit more than a hard cut. But it really takes the fact that these two defenders, both Joyner as well as the deep safety Ried in this case, just don't understand the speed that they're facing. And they both underplay the angles, Ried in particular, and you'll see the acceleration as we roll this film. It's just easy to see. Hardman comes off, and Joyner thinks he's got him. Looking at possibly diving on an out route here, but thinks he's going to be able to catch up. And as Hardman actually bends it back towards the post and just accelerates away from him. Now here, he still has, 8 yards on the deep safety, Ried, and is able to run away from him as well. Mahomes knows right now, with Joyner not interrupting the route, not being close enough to him, that Hardman's got this in the bag. And bam, easy acceleration for a kid that just on the run is a pretty natural thing.
I expect we're going to see some similar things from the Ravens, at least to start the next game. We'll talk about that in the game plan video coming up. Hopefully tomorrow, might be a little bit later in the afternoon, unfortunately. Now let's flip over. Let's talk about Juan Thornhill, because Thornhill was a guy that gave up a play, got a little bit of concern going, but really overall, when you look at the breadth of what he did during the Raiders game, came up pretty big, and I think he's showing a lot of signs of maturing pretty quickly, being able to recognize some things while trying to identify a couple of holes in what he's seeing. So we're going to go through some of his plays right here and kind of look at the progression.
This first play for Juan Thornhill is going to show you the setup that John Gruden went through. And that is because of the assignments, it ended up that Juan Thornhill was paying particular attention to the interior pass receivers, particularly the tight ends, and in this case, Hunter Renfrow, who is lined up here at the top of the formation, but in a very tight split. And because Steve Spagnuolo is doing a little bit of changes, some creative zone stuff here, what looks like Kendall Fuller going to be manned up, or at least in the short zone on Renfrow, is actually going to turn into him taking the flat, and that leaves that Juan Thornhill is going to be tracking Renfrow. And as we see the play develop, he's going to recognize the route, see it cross over the hashes, and he's going to drive hard to break up the pass, making a tackle if that's the way that it had to be. And as we see it roll, we recognize that Mathieu's doing a little bit same thing on the same side as he starts to show his drop. And as they roll, the motion is not a concern. Thornhill sees his guy, drives on it, makes contact with the ball, and actually makes a good collision, a good start to the game. I think that's a good feel for a young player like this. And again, we see it from the back angle, and Juan Thornhill is sitting tight, trying to scan what's going on over here. I think he is going to notice the motion, and as the play begins, Renfrow starts to bend into the hash area that is his responsibility. He takes a couple of steps back, plants his foot, and drives hard to get there as the ball arrives. And that's a solid play by Juan Thornhill to get going early in this game. Here we see another play where Juan Thornhill is going to be matched up with Hunter Renfrow when the play gets to rolling. Renfrow is again lined up at the top of the formation and is going to use the confusion of the formation to kind of sneak out and just do a tight curl and see what he can get out of it. Thornhill's going to scan the field here, make the recognition, and drive on the ball when it's in the air, making the tackle and not overcommitting, not missing the tackle by chasing it down too far. A pretty safe tackle. As you see here in the run-up, he is looking, going to end up coming to his assignment over on this side of the field. Quick pass, quick recognition, and quick tackle. As the Raiders use this concept, and Juan Thornhill continued to concentrate on his role, this started to pay off for the Raiders. As we'll see here, Thornhill's aligned deep in initial look at what looks like a 1 deep. Mathieu's going to drop out, and they are going to go to a 2 deep cover. And the normal progression would be for Juan Thornhill to have this bottom half of the screen, as we're looking at, with Mathieu playing the top half of the split deep zones. Watch as Hunter Renfrow lines up again in the slot position outside the tight end, which is Waller here, and is going to distract Thornhill. Now, there is a possibility that the assignments were that Thornhill had to come up and that Mathieu had the deep zone by himself. That is a possibility. But from what we see from initial reaction, with Thornhill's back pedal and the way that he's gaining ground, you would think that he's actually responsible for the deep half. And he bites up on what Renfrow does. And as we let this roll, you'll see Renfrow come off and just bend his route. Thornhill bites right at that after having seen the passes before, allowing the man to go deep right by him. This is a basic sail concept, and it's something that you can see here as the long route goes by. It's Mathieu that has to come over and cover. This should have been a touchdown. This is a heck of a play by Mathieu, and something that they brought him in here specifically to do. Thornhill's day was marked by making the recovery from that big play that almost was. And he made a nice recovery here. This is a little bit later as the team is looking to do a little bubble screen to Renfrow, who is lined up again on the interior at the slot. Thornhill's got his eye on him the whole time. Now, this play is going to have these outside receivers drive on and try to get some blocks. Renfrow to just bubble around, get the ball, and try to see what he can get done. They're right at the 10-yard line, so there's options there. It's Thornhill's ability to read the play, drive downhill, and get to where it needs to be that really makes this play. And as we watch it begin, this is something that you just have to have athleticism for. It's not that it can't be done another way, but it's got to have that aspect to it, because once you read, you have to accelerate and get there. And I'm going to slow this down this time because I want you all to see right here, Kendall Fuller really makes this play and allows Thornhill to do his job by getting outside position on his block and making Renfrow cut back inside. As we see it a little bit slowed down, you'll see the recognition. Fuller's got it, checking out Carr. Thornhill's got his eye on Renfrow, sees the bubble start, and he comes downhill. It's here, right here, that Kendall Fuller has this man beaten, and he has to go back inside, and that's right where Juan Thornhill's waiting for him. I'm going to let this run full speed again, and you'll see it. I want to see the other angle as well because you have to see technique. Thornhill got in a little bit of trouble week 1, got a penalty. Watch the way that he attacks this ball and what he does with his body, particularly his head and shoulders, as he comes in to make contact. Right here. Again, does his job by getting things done the way they have to be done, getting back to proper technique. He comes in, gets his head across the body, right here, down below the shoulder level, makes that tackle.
So those are the big takeaways. Looking at Juan Thornhill and earlier on Pat Mahomes, I feel pretty good about both of them, despite the ankle injury for Mahomes and the inexperience of Thornhill. I feel like that's coming on. This is going to be a challenge this week, and we'll talk about it in the game plan here in a minute. But I want to know what you guys think. What was more impressive? Does any of this film review give you ideas about what you expect to see or what you're concerned about? Leave your comments below. If you're not subbed, hit that sub and the notification bell. And if you're on mobile, you have a couple of options to hit the bell and then always get all content notified. That'll probably help some folks get in on the lives and that kind of thing that maybe some are missing out on. So check those out as well. Got some other things coming. If you missed the Bernard Pollard interview that was on Wednesday, go back and check that out. I'll link it up here. And I appreciate you guys. I'm looking forward to this game. It's my anniversary weekend, so post-game will be live from somewhere undisclosed location that I know of right now. But look for a post-game from me live somewhere, as well as the normal Monday night thing. We'll get back to that. So thanks for watching this. Check out these videos, and I'll check you next time.